Greetings to everybody. Welcome to the literature reading class. We are reading from the talks on the Bhagavad Gita by Vinobha Bhave. We are on the chapter called Sadhana for Happy Ending, the Yoga of Constancy. In one of his talks, Vinobha Bhave says, many have walked the path of the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, but blessed are those who truly understand its profound depth. So, with that feeling, he tries to explain to ordinary people like us the real essence of the Gita in terms of the normal human life. And Swami Vivekananda ji, he talks about the relationship between a devotee and a knower and a jnani. He says it's like a relationship between a seed and a tree, or an egg and a chicken. Devotion and knowledge, they cannot exist without the other. Without devotion, even knowledge loses its vitality, he says. So, according to Swami Vivekananda, both knowledge and devotion, I mentioned that before, that he says they are like the two wings of a bird. Because Swami Vivekananda ji says that a devotion devoid of the right knowledge can become, it can descend into fanaticism. That is why people fight in the name of religion, in the name of devotion to their purpose and their cause. Without having the right knowledge, they make it into a fanatic approach where they can even go to the extent of killing. So, knowledge in its highest form leads us to the ultimate truth, backed by devotion. And true knowledge unfolds within ourselves gradually as we dedicate ourselves to the sadhana. True knowledge unfolds when we meditate, when we practice. And it is not like it happens in one day that, it's like a switch, electric switch that you turn on and turn off. It's not like one moment you are ignorant and the next moment you become wise. So the state of Viveka is a dynamic continuum. It keeps evolving every day. And all who walk this path, they share in that to the degree that they have realized it. So everything is in sadhana, in perseverance. And once Guru Nanak ji said that the cause is very subtle, but the effect is gross. Like the stir in the center was so subtle, but its effect is continuing. And he compares this that we cannot see the hand of the divine, because a lot of us like wonder, where is God? How is God? Where is this divinity that masters are talking about? We can't see. So Guru Nanak ji explains that we can't see the hand of the divine, but we can see its work. And this he scientifically compares it to an electron, that you cannot see an electron with the naked eye. But various combinations of electrons have given rise to the earth, but no one saw the electron. Scientists believe that the electron exists by its effects and results. They haven't seen it. That is how he explains that the divine principle is felt. We may not see the master, but we can see his work on ourselves. When we are transforming, we realize that somebody is working on us. Otherwise, how can this happen? What is the hand that is holding us? The divine hand of the guide. And also, at one point, Guru Nanak ji explains that this universe is not a chaos, but it's a cosmos. And it is not happening by chance, but a well determined law is working all the time. And that is the divine hand. A well determined law he describes as the divine hand, and he calls it a divine order. And everything happening to us is directing us towards the ultimate transformation. That's how the divine hand works. Whatever is happening to us is directing us for this change that needs to happen, the ultimate transformation. And he describes that once we realize the divine hand behind this canvas of this vast creation, we become changed beings. Once you are aware of that divine presence, he says that you can no longer remain as you are. You will have to change at your very, very core, the roots. And we also see it in ourselves. However much we struggle in our faith and we have doubts and we have sufferings, but we have tasted the divine presence of the Master, so we continue on the path. We continue with the practice. So we're not doing that bad. If we are on the path continuing, that means we have tasted the essence of that divinity somehow, somewhere, a bit of it. And for that, Guru Nanak ji calls it that he who knows the name has found the key to the temple. And what is the key? He says the key is more important than the goal itself. So, what is the key? Key is more important than the goal, which is the divine itself. And he says, what is the key? And he calls that key as remembrance, Nam. So when remembrance is established, it opens the door to that inner temple. And that is why Babaji Maharaj has given so much importance to the constant remembrance. And Revered Daji has said that being in the condition that has been established in the morning meditation is being in that remembrance. So all the great masters are saying the same thing, the hierarchy of the masters, in different words to guide us towards that ultimate transformation. And they are trying to reiterate this thought that the key to this ultimate transformation is remembrance with persistence. And don't worry about knowledge. As we practice with persistence, knowledge comes from within. And we will continue with the reading. Here he talks about, Vinobha Bhave talks about Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. What does it mean? We will understand now. So if you continue striving day and night with all the resources of the body and the mind at your command, with faith in the Lord, the last moment will be extremely happy. So we have to continue striving day and night with all the resources of the body and the mind at our command with faith in the Lord. The same thing. They are also saying the same thing. Perseverance. Perseverance in sadhana. You will have all the gods, that is divine powers, on your side when the hour of the death happens. This has been said at the end of this chapter using a metaphor. Understand this metaphor properly. If at the time of one's death, fire is burning The sun is shining, the moon is waxing, and there is beautiful and cloudless sky of Uttarayan, 6 months of the northern course of the sun. Then one unites with the Brahman. But if at that time there is dense smoke, there is darkness within and without, the moon is waning and there is cloudy and dull sky of Dakshinayan, 6 months of the southern course of the sun, he again gets caught in the cycle of births and deaths. So the metaphor is here, the Uttarayan and Dakshinayan, he interprets as when the state of our being, when our state of being at the time of death, fire is burning, the condition of love is burning in us. The sun is shining, the brightness is shining in the heart. The moon is waxing and there is beautiful and cloudless sky, that state of the absolute, which beyond light, beyond darkness, the ultimate color of the grayness. Then one unites with the Brahma. So that is the state. To arrive at that state, we try every day in our meditation to tap into that state. And Babuji Maharaj has given us how to do that. Keep your body motionless. Make the senses dormant. Move into the silence of the heart. And simply begin with observing. There are good thoughts, there are bad thoughts, but they are all floating. Just observe. Don't attribute yourself to those thoughts. A lot of times we get carried away when we have negative thoughts that that's what I am. Don't get carried away. They're leaving. Be connected to the heart, where to that extent that the Master has bestowed on the love is there. Focus on that love and wait to be lost in that sacred space, the sacredness of the inner temple. So, this metaphor is puzzling to many. It tells that the grace of the gods of fire, sun, moon, and sky is necessary for a holy death. Fire symbolizes karma and yajna, work and sacrifice. The sacrificial fire must be burning even at the time of death. Justice Renard used to say, "Blessed is the death which comes while one is performing one's duties." I shall be happy to die while reading, writing, or doing something. This is what the burning of sacrificial fire means. Working till the last breath signifies the grace of Agni, the god of fire. For us, it is the ascension of fire. Fire is ascending. It is creating true love in us. Grace of the sun god keeps the intellect bright and radiant till the end. State of Viveka. Grace of the moon is indicated by the growth of pure and sacred feelings in the heart at the time of death, as the moon is the god of the heart filled with love. Sacred feelings like love, devotion, enthusiasm, altruism, compassion, etc., should wax and grow to fullness in the mind, like the moon in the bright half of the month. The grace of the sky means having the heart completely free from the clouds of attachment. Gandhiji once said, "I am always talking of the spinning wheel. I consider it sacred, but I must not have attachment even to it at the last moment. He who led me to the spinning wheel is fully capable of taking its care." Once Chariji told me that we are all fed by his hands. All of us are fed by his hands. Now the spinning wheel has been taken up by many leading figures. I should now cease to worry about it and be ready to meet the Lord. Uttarayan thus means freedom of the heart from the clouds of attachment. If death comes when a man's body is engaged in service till the last breath, pure sentiments have grown to fullness. There is no trace of attachment in the heart, and intellect is sharp and radiant. He becomes one with the divine. To have such a supremely auspicious end, one must ever be alert and continue to strive day and night. No impure and evil samskara should be permitted in the mind, even for a single moment. One must pray constantly to the divine to have the necessary strength to achieve this. Again and again, one should remember his name and meditate over his nature and essence. Again, they conclude it with constant remembrance, which our masters are guiding us towards. And no impure and evil samskara should be permitted in the mind, even for a single moment. So, when our mind is in remembrance of the sacred condition that we have arrived at because of the grace of the Masters, and when we are paying attention to that and not to our thoughts, because Babaji Maharaj has said, thought is the dirt of the mind. So, don't pay attention to the thoughts that are leaving. So, a lot of times I also wonder when some negative thoughts comes, where are these coming from? And I try to beat myself up, and then I just tell, like Chariji once reminded us that, once when he went to Babuji, Babuji turned his head away and he wondered, I did so much sadhana, why? And Babuji said, I saw some dust. And then he asked him, like, I worked so hard, how can this dust be there? Some, don't worry, when the shirt is very pure, some dark spot, one little spot also, it's very visible. So as we grow, sometimes we doubt ourselves because you've been working at it for so long, you're sincerely meditating, doing everything. And where are these things coming from? Because they are deep rooted from past. And as we progress, then these deeper things come out. At that time, we should not get attached to that. Like sometimes people see Lord Shiva or something like that, and then they think, oh, I'm supposed to worship. No, it's actually your worship of Him from the past. He is saying that it is not needed, I am leaving. Now go to the ultimate silence, go to the absolute. So we have to ignore those thoughts. That is why Babuji has trained us. The masters have trained us. When thoughts arise, ignore the thoughts. When dreams come, put them in the diary and forget about them. Because very few are able to, their awareness is so deep that it can see the past as well as the future. Most of us only see the past. That is why they gave us that advice. Ones that have transcended to that level where they can see the future, they recognize it. Like Mother Helene, when she writes, she's giving us beautiful pearls from the future. It is not from the past. So we are ordinary beings, so we learn to ignore and move forward. The next chapter, chapter 9, is the sovereign science of service to humanity, yoga of surrender. We will just read two paragraphs. Knowledge through direct experience. That is perception, direct perception. Anubhava. You know. Brothers, I have a sore throat today and I doubt whether my voice would reach you. I am reminded here of an anecdote from the life of Peshwa Madhavrao. The saintly man was on his deathbed. His lungs were full of phlegm. It is said that phlegm can be converted into dysentery. Madhavrao told his physician, please convert my phlegm into dysentery so that I would be able to utter the name of the Lord. Then if you look at the sages of the past, the saints of the past, the great men of the past, it is amazing to see to what extent they would go for the sake of realizing that divinity in them. I too was praying to God today and He told me to speak to the extent the throat permits. This is what Vinobha Bhave is saying. My intention in delivering these talks on the Gita is not to preach anyone, although those who want to profit from them may surely do so. When I talk on the Gita, I do so to have the divine name on my lips. What I am telling here has connection with the ninth chapter. The chapter tells about the wonderful greatness of the Lord's name. That's what Guru Nanak Ji was so much in the gave so much importance to name of the Lord. It is at the center of the Gita, which itself is at the center of the Mahabharata. For many reasons, this chapter is considered particularly holy. It is said that when Jnanadeva bid farewell to the world and entered into Samadhi, he was reciting this chapter. Whenever I think of this chapter, tears well up in my eyes and my heart dances with divine joy. How great is this gift that Vyasa has given to us? Because Vyasa was the one who wrote. Not only India, but all mankind is indebted to Vyasa for this gift. In fact, what the Lord told Arjuna was not something that could be expressed in words. But Vyasa, moved by compassion, put it into Sanskrit verse. He clothed in words the secret wisdom, the vibrations that he was able to perceive what happened between Arjuna and Lord Krishna. He gave it words to it. It is like catching the Sruti, the vibration, some from the memory Smriti, and putting it down for the benefit of humanity. At the very outset, the Lord says that this unique wisdom is supreme secret. It is the highest and the purest, and this is something to be directly experienced. This chapter describes something that cannot be put into words, but which has stood the test of experience. That is why it has been exceedingly endearing. Sant Tulsidas has said, "What is the use of the stories of heaven where one can go after death? Who knows who will go to heaven and who to hell? We are here to live only for a few days." Tulsidas says that he is happy in spending those few days in the service of the Lord. This chapter describes the beauty and the sweetness of living in the service of the Lord. It tells about things which can be directly experienced in this body, seen directly with the eyes, enjoyed here and now in this life. That is why volunteering the service for the right cause is of absolute importance in life. When one eats jaggery, one can directly experience its sweetness. So that is why Babaji Maharaj said, people who volunteer, they gain more in spirituality. This chapter gives a taste of sweetness in life that is totally surrendered to the divine. It deals with the supreme knowledge that enables us to experience directly the sweetness in the life on this earth. This knowledge is otherwise most difficult to grasp, but the Lord has revealed it here to all, made it accessible and comprehensible to all. We will stop here.